Welcome to Hacking AI channel, where we demystify different subjects throughout the AI, ML, data science, and software engineering topics. In this episode, I'm going to share how to do error analysis on model predictions from the terminal by using Visidata as the CSV viewer tool. Error analysis is the process of looking at model predictions versus their ground truth labels. Sometimes there are certain patterns. The model might have more errors when predicting high sentiment versus low sentiment. So in order to debug and find and improve, we first need to figure out the patterns and then prioritize them accordingly. And of course, there's the most favorite type of an error, whenever there's an annotation error instead of the model error. So humans do mistakes as well, of course. And one of the happiest things for a data scientist is looking at the model and seeing that actually the model was correct and the annotator wasn't. It's not joyous like, oh, yay, we found an error. It's sort of a moment that you figure out that maybe the definition of a certain class is not clear enough. So we kind of improve model class definitions by going over annotation errors. So that's error analysis. What is a terminal? Well, terminal is something that you got installed on every computer. And no matter what operating system you're using, probably there's terminal somewhere there. And also interchangeably, I'm calling a terminal and a command line and a shell in an interchangeable way. It's not the same thing, but in the context of this video, let's treat it as if it was. Getting comfortable with your terminal can help you debug issues on remote machines. Sometimes you're working with confidential information that you can't really download, or it's just too hard, or maybe it's not even possible. So it's very efficient to go inside the machine and start picking at different files, CSVs, or maybe even editing certain code files by using Emacs or Vim. I have only praises for the Visidata development team. They let you open any CSV file through the terminal and give you Excel-like powers, which is just incredible. They have a Patreon in their website. Feel free to donate however you want. I really recommend it. Disclaimer: most annotations should be done within an annotation tool like Label Studio or Argila. That is my favorite annotation tool. Why? Because annotations should be shared within the team. Also, non-data scientists should access them and help you annotate them. Visidata, on the other hand, is something that is more for personal use. Whenever I just want to kind of see if I'm on the right path with my model. By the way, if you find the tempo of this episode a little bit too high and you want to slow down, other than using YouTube features, you can go and read the full blog with all the details of this whole session. It's in the description. Let's review the dataset that we're going to use for our examples. I always go to the ATIS dataset. It's a collection of airline consumer requests, calling to a call center, asking different questions. Each request has an intent label, and during our experiment we're going to do a small EDA to figure out what kind of labels are there. So that's the dataset. Here's an example of the thing that you can accomplish using Visidata by just running two commands. Here's a histogram of all of the label categories, and you can see already that the flight label is really controlling the dataset. It's not balanced at all. What does flight actually means? Well, it's users asking for different questions about flight options. And we're going to see examples of that using Visidata, of course. So let's review the workspace. On the right, you can see the things that we're going to do in the next few minutes. On the left is my terminal running all of the commands, you can see. So on the right, we have the installation as the first topic. So the installation instructions are pretty self-explanatory. Two things I can maybe kind of expand on. The first one is using Brew. If you're using Mac OS, you can use Brew to install Visidata and to be accessible in wherever you are. It will be accessible as a general tool, which is pretty nice. You can also use UV run without any sort of virtual environment. That's also using it like as a general tool. Now onto Visidata itself. So we can open CSV files or just view the content of the directory, which is very, very cool. You can see the content of everything. I've run ls, and let's just open Dataset CSV. Great. You can already see we have columns, we have rows. I can navigate by using the arrows of the keyboard. I can also use Vim like HJKL keyboard letters, and that's how you open a file in Visidata. Now let's open the whole directory explorer. That is nice. And let's see this column, like everything is a table for Visidata, which is very cool. I'll start referring to VD. Okay, so that's the alias. So VD is pretty cool. It opens everything as a table, and you can see that the size of this column is pretty short. And this is the content of my directory. So let's expand it by using shift middle, what's it called? You can look at the blog actually to see all of the shortcuts themselves. I won't say them out loud. You can just read it along. Okay, so I've expanded, and now I can shrink it back. I can also remove columns. Let's say I don't care about the extension. Okay. And now I can exit it, or maybe just enter any file I want. So let's look at create_dataset.py. So you can actually view even scripts like any content of a file. So that is the script that created dataset.csv. I've used datasets library by Hugging Face and just dumped all of the training. Open up our favorite CSV. Great. So we have an ID of the row, the name of the intent, which is a category. Let's look at which categories do we have. If I'm going Shift F, here's my histogram that I've showed in the blog. Maybe I want to expand this column. And isn't that just great? You get a count, a percentage, and all of these asterisks. Now let's say I want to just look at all of the user requests of a certain class. So by just picking one of those, by hitting enter, I'm filtering the dataset. And I can do a second filtering. If I would do Shift F on another column, let's say maybe there, oh, awesome, there are some duplicates. So I can just look at these duplicates. So you can see how fast can you go with this thing. Every time you want to go back, you hit Q. So I can hit a few of those, and I'm back. Okay, let's say I want to order by alphabetically. Left bracket, ascending, right bracket, descending. Let's go back to ordering by a row. Interesting. It's probably because it's a string. So you can also change the type of the column. So let's make it an integer. And now let's reorder. Great. Okay, what's up next? Let's remove the slots. We don't care about them. And let's search. Let's first expand this column because it's important. And let's make the ID and the flight as our key columns. This is done with exclamation mark. It also adds a nice touch of color. So let's say these are most important. So no matter where I'll go in the spreadsheet, you would get to see these two columns. You know what? Maybe I'll bring back slots? No, I'm not sure how to do it, so I won't. I always keep learning new things as well. It's not like I know how to do everything, and it's fine. It has its learning curve. Okay, so we've pinned the columns, we hided columns. Let's now search for some text by hitting slash. You're in an interface which is very similar to Vim or less. So now I can search all of the occurrences of want. Now I can go hit N or capital N to kind of traverse them. Now for dessert, I'm going to show you how to annotate different error types. For this, we'll need to add 2 new columns. And of course, we're going to do it within VD. So it's ZA. Let's call it prediction. Great. Now you can see like the effect of the pinned columns. They're with us no matter what happens. And let's now add a new column named error type. Again, ZA, and now it lets me enter a column name, error type. Great. Now all of my predictions error types are null. We don't have anything there. So let's fill it up with something. What's really great about VD that it lets you write Python expressions easily. Not something that is really easy to do within Excel, by the way. So by running equals, here's my new column expression. Let's write the following. If intent equals to flight, make it flight. Else, let's put ground control. Okay, actually now it's just created a new column. No biggie. Let's remove this one. Middle line, is it called? And now let's edit this one. This is a hat. Okay. I'm calling it this symbol a hat or a roof. Okay, let's call it this prediction now. And let's filter by ground control predictions maybe. Great. So let's assume that ground control is a problematic class. Let's kind of decide that I'm going to now edit the error type column. So this is done by entering E. Now let's say this one is annotation error. Let's expand. And this one is, yet again, annotation error. You can notice a pattern here, but maybe this one is, you know what, just model error. Great. Now, let's look at the histogram of my errors. So you can see we have most rows we didn't input anything, but we have 2 annotation errors and 1 model error. Now let's save this thing, and you won't believe it, but saving is Ctrl S, and it lets you input a new file name. So let's say dataset with error analysis. Great. And now let's exit dataset with error analysis. Okay, VD dataset with error analysis. And here are my new columns. Voila. That's it. That's the basic usage of VD that I find really useful for my flow. Hopefully it is useful for you. Now let's conclude what did we just do. I love using the terminal. It becomes increasingly important in my flow, whether I need to connect to remote servers or just edit things quickly without going into PyCharm or Visual Studio Code. There is no one tool to do everything. So some things are more appropriate to do within GUI, some things are not. I'm not saying that you should like pick one tool and stick to it. No, not at all. Everyone has its own personal taste, and I'm just trying to show if others, if you are inclined to using more terminals, so maybe this tool can be in your tool set. Actually, there's a great book about data science from the terminal. I will add the name of the book to the description. I think that my next stop on this journey, enriching Visidata with additional plugins. So I imagine a future where I kind of do my own error analysis, and then an LLM assistant continues my work, basically learning from what I did and just continuing for X amount of rows. I really believe it's achievable within Visidata itself. By adding a new script, I think I can make it work. If you want to join my journey into this, please write a comment or respond, because it will help me get the motivation I need to actually accomplish this. Thank you for listening and joining, and see you next time.